The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey everybody, welcome to the FreeAt Last Podcast. I'm Mick, and tonight we have a very special guest. I'm excited tonight. We have a dear lady that's very close to my heart, and we're excited about what she's going to be sharing. Before we get started with all that, though, you can find info on this in the description of wherever you're watching this, but we invite you to our fan base page. We have our first premium content on there now. We have free content on there as well. But we shared the video where we went paranormal investigating, and we went to the Olive Hill School, and people know my history up there. If you don't, you can catch it in previous recorded videos. I go there to confront some demons, of some familiar spirits, whatever you want to think of them as, that I wrestled with in my teenage years. And it was kind of like a victory lap for me. It's like I just wanted to go back and say, you didn't win, God did. And so check us out over there. There'll be some stuff for everybody. We're wanting to do some giveaways over there. We might there's going to be some FreeAt Last merchandise giveaways that we're going to be giving away, some t-shirts that's got the FreeAt Last podcast on there, and other things. But we'll just check that out. We'll hang over there as well. There'll be all kinds of goodies for everybody. But tonight we have a very special guest, a lovely young lady that I have been privileged to call my wife, my better half. And she's going to talk to us tonight about one of the ministries that God has called her to start up, and we're going to be sharing what God is doing through that ministry. So without further ado, let's welcome Miss Tami Sammons.
Hey, it's Tami Sammons.
That's right, the better half, as in better have supper ready when I get it.
He's a funny one, isn't he?
Everybody knows our sense of humor, I believe.
I think at this point, everyone knows your sense of humor once they get to know you.
Yeah.
At first, though, it's like, my Lord, is he serious? It's like,
or as Barney Fife would say, he's a nut. But Tami, take us back to when. I don't know how many years, but I know it's been a few years that God dealt with your heart to start this ministry. But take us back and tell us the name and how you got started in this ministry.
All right. Well, all of this it started in 2007. And that was when I actually felt led to start a yarn group ministry, which is called Get Real Ministries Yarn Group. And my father had passed away in 2007, and everyone finds a way to cope, to deal, to heal from the loss. And there's many people that have grief, and grief can come from losing someone, losing a child, losing a parent. Grief can also come in other ways that many may not realize, maybe through losing a job or moving, or usually some kind of life decision that just totally changes up your total normal. And so in 2007, I started crocheting and making things, learning how to knit. And I realized one day that I loved making baby hats. And, I didn't have any children to model them. So I bought a $2.99 Goodwill baby doll, and it was newborn size, and I kind of, used that doll as my model. Little did I know that there is a reborn community that is on social media. Didn't really hear about it at that time, but it's been around for probably 20 plus years. And so probably in the last 3 years, I've created a ministry kind of that coincides with Get Real Ministries Yarn Group, and that's Kids and Prop.
Kids and Prop. And how did, with that name, Kids and Prop, how did that come about? What does that actually mean?
The word prop is usually a theatrical word. It's something that's in a movie or in a play that is used to symbolize the real thing. So in a movie, you may see a fake telephone, or you may see, we watch a lot of Young Sheldon, you see a lot of vintage 80s stuff on that show. Those are props. And so when it comes to the kiddos, the babies, I've really found a passion to display a lot of props, bottles, diapers, fun kid stuff, toddler stuff.
Play-Doh.
I love Play-Doh. And so it was like when it started awakening in me some feelings that went childhood deep. And so the props became my play, so to speak. And what I mean by that is, if you grew up in a household where maybe there were a lot of children in your household, and you may have not got at Christmas or birthdays things that the other kids at school got or your friends got. You may have got something, and it could have been something smaller. I was fortunate to get birthday gifts and Christmas gifts. And, you, as a kid, you had the Sears wish book, and your parents would say, circle everything you want, and that was just basically a get you out of my hair type thing, because they knew you would spend hours looking at that wish book and circling it.
Having hope of getting what you want, but never did.
Yeah. And so some of the things that stirred up for me when I started doing Kids and Prop was, there were baby dolls that every kid wants, because at that time you had 80s cartoons on Saturday when you would just watch cartoons, eat your cereal, and they would have all the latest toys and things. And it was like all that stuff was coming at you, but you knew you would never have it. And so it's kind of turned into, for me, a hobby, collecting things that I didn't have as a child. And so I haven't lost that play on the inside of me, and I think that's very important for adults.
And I think a lot of people tried to find that, because I know one of the fun things I did with technology now, all the video games I never did have growing up. I was the kind of kid that if I wanted to play the latest video games, I had to go to a cousin's house because he had all the latest video games. But like now, technology is so cool. They make a little thing that you can plug in the back of your TV and play all the video games you never had growing up as a kid. And it's cool to go back down memory lane and, get to enjoy the stuff that you didn't have back then.
Yeah.
So what are some of the areas of ministry that you use the dolls to minister to other people?
The dolls actually, and I'm thinking about giving the easy version of reborning, because what I've learned is the community is really big and it may not be big in our area, and it may not be big in your area, but there are people who are interested in doing this. And I have one of the reborns with me right here, and you can see this little guy. He looks very realistic.
Especially on camera.
Yeah, he does. On camera, he looks very real.
We'll have a Michael Jackson moment. Somebody be like, "Don't drop the baby."
And so these are hyper realistic. They are newborn size. They take newborn clothing. You can actually create fake bottles, and they will take a bottle, they take a pacifier, and you put a diaper on them that helps you fill out their clothes. But they are weighted. This is one of the higher end babies here. I actually won him from Little Dreamers Nursery in Bath County. And so you can see his head kind of bobbles, and he's very realistic. He weighs probably about 7 or 8 pounds.
And we always have to make sure that if one's in the back of the car, that we put a blanket or something over him. That way, if people see him in the back, they don't think they're locked in the car and they break our back windshield out.
Yes. And I do have a car seat in my car. Like Mickey said, back when people started taking the dolls out in public, they were leaving them in their car, and people were actually busting out the side windows, back windows to get to a baby. And you can imagine the look on the cop's face when they have to do this, and it turns out it's just a doll. So they are very realistic, and we'll put that one over here. So this little guy here, and each of the dolls, they have like kind of their own personality, because where they look different, they each can do things that like the other ones can't. So like, this one, he has his eyes open, and he's a toddler. And one thing that really that I get fulfillment out of, especially now that I'm past 45, reaching 50, Mickey and I never had children. So this has, when you reach that age, I think your body's like, hey, are you going to have any children? And so in the world that we're living in today, it's like, do we really want to bring kids into this world? And so the reborns have given me that opportunity to have those motherly instincts, and to actually go shopping for them. I do take them out in public. Mickey participates with me on that by filming, and he's very supportive. Bit. He's very supportive. You're supportive, but
it just depends on how big the crowd is.
And so I do have a stroller, because after a while, as with any child, they get pretty heavy. So when we go someplace that we know we're going to be for a while, that I know that there's going to be opportunities to prop the kiddos. We went to the pumpkin patch back in the fall, and I took a stroller and took pictures, and because when you're with the baby out in public for that day, it's like, and I want to put this out there. This is not telling you to go get one right away to help you deal with your loss. This was just my way that I was able to cope and to get through losses in my life and grief.
So speaking of losses, one thing that I found interesting that you told me about, that you said that a lot of mothers that have had miscarriages use the reborns to help them grieve with their miscarriages or things of that nature.
Yeah. When you think about reborns, I think people have different reasons for their why they do it. As Mickey said there's some people who have lost children, have lost whether it be stillbirths, miscarriages. You had that anticipation, you had that excitement of having a child, and for whatever reason, that child was not able to live. And, as a mother, because I'm not a mother, but as a mother would go through pain and the loss of that child, this is not a replacement for your baby, but it helps you to still have that nurturing, because your bodies are wired to have that feeling of maternity. You want to nurture, you want to dress, you want to feed, and that helps you do that with these babies.
So it kind of gives your mental capacity an outlet to have that release of nurturing.
Yeah. And some of the other reasons that women newborn, there's also dads who reborn. I want to encourage the guys that do this to continue advocating for the reborn community. Continue doing what you do, because this does bring healing. And, a lot of guys, they're not going to admit that they have dolls or they do this with dolls, because
I think we do it with action figures.
Yeah, and that's okay to be an adult and still have toys. We call that kidulting.
Yeah.
It's adults who play with toys. But another reason why women, men, they have reborns, it kind of gives you a sense of purpose. It, if you enjoy going out with them and propping them out, people are going to ask questions. People are going to look. People are going to want to hold it. And then another one, there's actually on Instagram, there's a lady who does reborn reasons, or see, what is it? Reborns with a purpose. And so she takes her reborns to the nursing home and lets the clients, the residents, hold them and talk to them.
Tell about that one situation where you gave a bunch of the baby dolls. We won't say which nursing home, but tell about how the residents of the nursing home, how it ministers to like the Alzheimer's patients.
There was a nursing home, residential nursing home close to where we live, and they actually did a toy/doll drive. And I was like, a doll drive? What's this? It really sparked my interest. For one, reborns are, for the most part, not cheap. There's different levels and different brackets of money that you can spend on them. But just to go out and get one, there is an investment there. And so, during this doll drive, what had occurred, it was coming around Christmas time, and there were a couple residents who had Alzheimer's, and they would put them all together on a unit. Well, they only had one baby doll, and they were all fighting over whose baby it was. So the women, kept saying, give me my baby, give me my baby. And then another woman would come and take the baby, and then she stole my baby. And so they realized that they needed more than one baby. And so that year I was able to donate 13 dolls, and the director was overly excited to receive that many. She said, now everybody on that unit will get a doll. And so, that was a blessing to be able to do that. And I've also given dolls out. I've sent them from the West Coast, California, to the East Coast of New Jersey. I've sent to Florida. So it's, I want you to contact me, start a conversation. I want to get to know you a little bit, because I know that there are some people who would love to have a doll but just maybe can't afford one. and I find out your reason why you want one, what your intentions are with that doll, because there are scammers out there who want you to send them a doll and they will resell it. And so when you message me personally asking for a doll, I will vet your social media to see what that looks like. And, I've had some people that have given me baloney, and it's, each doll that I send out, I of course pray that, I pray which doll to send, because usually someone seeking a doll will actually tell me they want a boy, girl, eyes closed, eyes open. And so it's very specific. And I try to, look at my collection and see which doll would be perfect for that person.
So, too, it's like I've seen you, especially around Christmas, I've seen you give dolls to kids as well. So do you want to talk about that?
And, I was like, I hope I don't cry on this part, and I already feel the tears burning. Giving dolls to children really has a special place in my heart, because going back, to my childhood, that's when you first, in the 80s, you started having My Buddy, My Big Sister.
Teddy Ruxpin.
Yeah, Teddy Ruxpin was back in that time. And that's, back in the 80s is when realistic dolls started being produced. And, they were reasonably expensive at that time as well. So if you were fortunate enough to get one for your birthday or Christmas, I mean, you felt like, you had hit the jackpot if you got one of these dolls. And, I never was able to get one because of our family, couldn't spend that much money on a toy. And, and I know it's the same now. There's kids who see all these other kids have name brand this or name brand that, and they know they're not going to be able to ever get that. And so when you get out on your own and you start being an adult and you have extra money that, obviously you pay your bills first, you take care of those things that are important, you may start collections, you may start hobbies. And so I was able to get some of those dolls from the 1980s that were vintage, and people still was holding on to them and collecting them from the 80s. And so it's like now those people are wanting to get rid of their collections because they have accumulated so much stuff. But it's like those things that we once had as children are made available through sites like eBay or Mercari or Facebook Marketplace. And so when you get that in the mail, it's almost a high. It's, as a kid, you always love getting a package or you love getting a card through the mail. And those things don't happen anymore unless you order something. And so to get a package in the mail that has a vintage doll that brings back a core memory from your childhood. I remember, like Mickey said, playing with toys at the neighbor's house. They might have had the latest and the newest and the grandest thing, but you never got to take it home. It was like, can I borrow that? And they'd always be like, no, but tomorrow you can come back and we'll play with it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and I don't know, it's a happy feeling to be able to do that and to give to kids that may not have that opportunity to get a real life doll.
So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how can they do that to inquire about a doll?
I'm on social media at Kids and Prop on Instagram, TikTok. Also have a Facebook group at Kids and Prop. You're welcome to share your pictures of your kiddos as you prop them. I often will upload a new outfit or a new doll maybe that I have got. But it's a matter of just displaying them as works of art. It's very personal because you get to name your baby. You get to upload posters and show the fun activities that your kiddos are getting into. And so, yeah, Kids at Prop on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And then just reach out to me, give me a direct message, private message me if you know someone who would benefit from a doll, who would like to learn more about the community. It is a very, when you really start getting into like reborning, there's like numerous community groups that you can get into on Facebook and follow on Instagram. I guess maybe you say, what's the downside of reborning? As with any piece of work of art, let me use like artistic art as an example. Say you have a painter or someone who creates a work of art, and they present their artwork at a gallery or something like that, and they know the value of that artwork. And then you got somebody's like, well, I can just put that on a color copier and like copy it and then frame it and have that same work of art. But what you're really doing is stealing their artwork. Like, the artist doesn't get credit for that sale or that reproduction.
It's like plagiarism.
Yeah. And, that also happens in the reborn community, where sculptors, artists, have created a doll sculpt, and this takes hours and hours of work and time and commitment. And, China can reproduce a lot of things that artists do, and so becomes what they're called a knockoff. And there's some people who cannot afford a sculpted, artist created reborn, which can go up into the thousands of dollars. So they can only afford a knockoff. And so in the reborn community, I see both the pros and the cons of that. But sometimes you're just not going to be able to afford that $2,000 or $3,000 doll, but you can afford this $50 doll. And, and I understand the artist part of that. But then on the flip side, reborning has been very therapeutic. It's been very healing. I do want to put out there that I'm not crazy, because sometimes people's like, okay, she's a little woo-woo because she carries a baby doll out in public. I know it's not real. I know it's not a real child. But when you're out in public, it's like role playing with that child. So you treat it like a normal child. You get it a high chair. You set it a plate. And those are opportunities that you can photograph and upload. But yeah, sometimes it mixed in with me, people just like, okay, does she know that doll's not real? Yes,
I've actually thought about turning one over my knee and just going to town discipline in old school, just see if I could get CPS called on me to get the doll taken away.
Well, I think, if anyone videoed us, like, he videos me sometimes and takes pictures when I'm with the babies out so that I can have a mother-baby picture. But if anyone was videoing us, like, I'm gently taking the baby out of the stroller, and I'm like, here, can you put this in the vehicle? Well, he just puts it in there face down, and I'm just like, anybody that saw that would be like, oh my gosh, they didn't even put that kid in the car seat. He just laid him in the back seat.
In the floorboard.
So it's kind of like you have to make it look real because you never know who's watching. But like I said before, I do have a car seat, and, it just, I know what reality is, and I know that, I know the babies are not real.
From plastic surgeons.
So, yeah, if, you can't afford a true reborn doll, there are options, but I don't want you to feel shame in working with those babies, or shame of, oh, it's not the artist baby, because you can heal and you can have much success with that doll. And people get attached to stuffed animals. We were talking at work the other day, and if you remember back to being a small child, you maybe had a favorite stuffed animal, or you had a blankie, and so it's a security thing. And so I don't want anyone to feel shame in doing that, taking them out, posting pictures online of your kiddos. It doesn't matter what people think.
And I kind of look at it like, where I'm a musician, it's kind of like God can help you heal through many different avenues. There's different songs that can help you heal. There's different moods of songs that can help you heal. There's, not just music. I mean, there's, like she's talking about, the reborn doll community. God has so many avenues that he can help you get to where you need to be, that
Yeah.
it's just, sometimes you just need the freedom to do that.
Yeah. So it's very fulfilling. No, they don't talk to me. And I know there can be a stigma of like, oh, those are creepy dolls. I was actually told that once. Like, I was like, oh, do you want to hold it? And they're like, no, that's creeping me out. So, can't push it on people. Yeah, there are some dolls that look just flat out creepy, but
there was one that she had I called Michael Myers.
Yeah, its hair was a little unruly, but yeah, some, the expression on the doll is like, you don't like, it doesn't look like a fun doll.
Or like it's pooping.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. If you want to, reach out to us at FreeAt Last Podcast at yahoo.com. We're trying to get some other guests lined out. There's a couple that have God has really healed them through some deep issues. Reading their story, it's like it blew my mind that they was even willing to speak out on this. But keep praying for us that we can find guests that would help you on your journey. And keep praying for us that we get our air condition fixed. That's why we went a little early tonight. But we're going to hear good news on that in Jesus' name.
Yes. You all have a great evening, and we'll catch you on the flip. Check us out at Kids Improv.
God bless.